God's voice speaks to me all through the day. God's voice speaks to you all through the day. What's good, fam? We made it to lesson 49 of A Course in Miracles. This is just such a wonderful time to be alive right here in your presence. We are going to discuss this lesson, very powerful lesson, and I have a little analogy that I believe will help us understand this and everything we've learned so far and just remain woke. You feel me? For the past 50 days, me and you, 49 days actually, me and you have been determined to stay woke, to remain in this state of being, this natural state of mind. This is who we are, this is what we are truth. So, although it may appear that we have been learning together for the past 49 days, what we have actually been doing is unlearning together, unlearning all the fear and the worry and the doubt of this world. And we are remembering the truth, which is who me and you are. We cannot be changed. And although we forgot, we are here to remember again, and we cannot forget now that we know. No matter how hard we try, even if we wanted to, for whatever insane reason, no matter how hard we might try to forget this truth, now we can't. This is a remembered fact of who we are, what this world is, who our Father is, and there's no going back. We are enlightened, and this is just such a great time to pop the champagne and celebrate this very great remembrance. So, today's lesson is God's voice speaks to me all through the day. And this is such a fact. And we know whenever we are receptive to God's voice, we know when we are receptive to clear communication, because that clear communication is always there. And the only reason why we can't hear God's voice in any given moment in time is because of what we're doing with this powerful, untrained tool of ours that is causing us to not be able to perceive that communication. But God is always there for me, for you, for every single person in this world, whatever they want to call God. A lot of people call God different names and they have different ideas of what God is, but today we are discussing truth, the truth that me and you are extensions of. Whatever we do call it is irrelevant, because me and you know that we are connected to one another and we are connected to something much higher than this whole world put together, the creator of me and you, which is love and light. And we are created in the image of love, light, infinity, extension, creation, all those wonderful attributes. And anytime we don't feel inspired or clear minded or any of those attributes that we would give to God, anytime we're not feeling at our best, is because we are doing something with this powerful tool of ours, again, that is putting resistance on our trail, and it's blocking us from perceiving God's voice. It's blocking us from perceiving our true self. It's blocking us from seeing the love that is in everyone and everything that's around us. So today we are going to understand how and why God's voice speaks to us all through the day. And one thing I do want to say is, like, I'm going to use an example that I do from time to time, and you might catch yourself doing this too. But whenever you're having a conversation with somebody and you're asleep, okay, you're identifying yourself with the ego, you think you're this body, and you're having a conversation and you say something, and then once the conversation's done and you and the person or people you're having a conversation with depart and go your separate ways, you're like thinking about that entire encounter, and you're like, should I have said this differently? um this and this, or while you guys were talking, you were thinking about what to say rather than hearing what they were saying in that moment. What's happening right there in those situations is our mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. So although I'm talking right now in this instant, your mind, which is most likely not, but it could be preoccupied with past thoughts, meaning you could be focused on something I said 5 seconds ago and not hearing and feeling the intention behind what I'm saying right now. Same thing that I would do within those conversations, and I still catch myself doing it to this day. My mind will become preoccupied with past thoughts, and now I'm thinking of what I could say next based off of what they said in the past, which is 5 seconds ago. And then when I start talking, then I go, but I wasn't really in the moment for that little instant. And that instant is when God's voice is available to us right here and now, when we are present, when we are awoke, that instant when we have cleared the clouds from our mind, we are receptive to God and the Holy Spirit, and we know exactly what to say, we know when to say it, we know how to say it, because check this out, that person who we are having a conversation with, they may need to hear something that we're about to say, and we don't even know that we're about to say what they need to hear. But because we are receptive to God's communication and we don't even know this at the time, we just say what feels good and natural to us because we're in a clear, open state of mind, and we say something that sparks something in them because God knows everything, knows all his sons, knows me, knows you, knows the person we're having a conversation with, and knows exactly what they need to hear and the way that we are going to say it in order to get that light to click in their head. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is a miracle. We just worked a miracle by being receptive to God's guidance, saying exactly what this person needed to hear in order for them to reawaken and get that instant of joy and remembrance of the truth that they are. So that's all miracle is the reawakening moment of the real world, of waking up and disconnecting yourself from what never existed, which is the ego, and remembering, wow, there's love right here and now for me. And depending on where that person's mental habits and proclivities are, they're going to feel it for a little instant and then fall back asleep in that sleep, depending on where they're at. Same thing with us. This takes practice. You feel me? I'm not perfect at this, but I am definitely getting there. And I know that you're getting there too. And we are going to do this together because this world needs more people like us. Not that we are different or more special than anyone else. We are all equal here. God created every single one of us equal. We are all special. Therefore, none of us are special. We are all the very same at the very core of our being, and there is nothing that I can do that nobody else cannot learn to do. There's nothing that no one else knows how to do that I cannot learn to do. We are all equal at the very core of our being, regardless of whatever things of this world make us appear different, like our skin color, gender, the clothes we wear, or the music we listen to, etc. We are all the very same at the core of our being. And whenever we see anybody in awe, or we put them on a pedestal, we are not seeing them for who they really are, which is a child of God, because we know that that awe that we are looking at is within us too. So the world needs more people like us in the sense that we know who and what we are and the power that lies within us as us, and same in everybody. And it's crazy how in an instant we could fall asleep and we forget this information. We fall asleep and this energy is not here because we are no longer identifying ourselves with the Holy Spirit. We fall back asleep into the ego, which is so easy to do at this moment in time because we were raised in the world of fear and it's just a habit of ours. But because we've been practicing this so consistently, that habit is becoming less and less and less strong. It's becoming weaker and weaker and weaker until we give it no more attention. It's going to wither away and it's going to die, and we will no longer feel the need to have fear. And whenever we go through those contrasting experiences, we will reawake instantly in that moment because that experience was there to help us give birth to a new desire of something we would rather prefer, and then we evolve because there would be no expansion if there wasn't the desire for more, and you can't desire more without knowing what you prefer, and you can't know what you prefer if there's something you do not prefer. So we're going to talk more about this today. I know I just kind of went on a little rampage and that's a lot of information to take in, but I believe that me and you are ready to hear everything we're going to discuss today. So let's go ahead and dive straight into lesson 49 of A Course in Miracles. Open up to the page. You already know what to do. And if you don't got the book yet, the PDF is in the description. Let's dive right in. Lesson 49 of A Course in Miracles. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. It is quite possible to listen to God's voice all through the day. without interrupting your regular activities in any way. And I just want to pause right there, and we're going to really break this down today. I'm going to read that one more time. It's quite possible to listen to God's voice all through the day without interrupting your regular activities in any way. And the reason why me at one point didn't want to do this type of work that we're doing now, or why a lot of people don't want to do the work that we're doing now, is because they believe that they have to sacrifice something and give up their time, or give up doing what they love, or whatever insane ideas that we may be thinking at the time. But one more time, it's very possible to listen to God's voice all through the day without interrupting your regular activities in any way. And actually, not only is it possible, but whenever we are clear-minded and receptive to God's communication, and we're hearing his voice all throughout the day, the activities that we're performing are actually more joyous. They're more enlightening, more insightful. We learn more from them. We're more present and focused and tuned in and in flow and creative. So there's really no sacrifice. It is only in the times where we're identifying with the ego that we believe things like this would be sacrifice to embark on journeys like this, because the ego doesn't want you to know things of this nature, because knowing this would be death to the ego, which it does not want. But because me and you are not the ego and we have free will, we can choose whether we follow this teacher or this teacher, whether we follow fear, which is not really there, an illusion that we have made, or love, which is all that is, which is God's way. And one more thing before we continue, free will is very important. A lot of people ask, well, this so-called bad thing just happened to me or someone that I know or I love. Why didn't God, if he's so powerful, do something to interfere and stop that from happening? And that would be a violation of our free will, because we have to allow God and the Holy Spirit into our minds in order to prevent things of that nature from going on. We have free will. So if God or Holy Spirit or whatever you may want to call it were to insert itself and make sure that nothing like that happened, nothing bad happened, then you wouldn't have free will, because that insertion was just there without your will. So because we have free will, that's why these lessons, what was the lesson we did the other day? I believe it was, I am determined to see things differently. I believe it was, I am determined to see things differently. And basically us doing that and affirming that is letting God know, so to speak, that we are willing to allow him to speak through us for the day. We are willing and we are giving our free will, making it clear that this is what I want and this is what I choose. And because we choose it, now the magic happens. So let's go ahead and continue. The part of your mind in which truth abides is in constant communication with God, whether you are aware of it or not. It is the other part of your mind that functions in the world and obeys the world's laws. It is this part that is constantly distracted, disorganized, and highly uncertain. So whenever we are distracted, disorganized, uncertain, we could definitely know in that moment where our attention is going and which instructor we are following in that instant. The part that is listening to the voice for God is calm, always at rest, and wholly certain. It is really the only part there is. The other part is a wild illusion, frantic, distraught, but without reality of any kind. Try today not to listen to it. Try to identify with the part of your mind where stillness and peace reign forever. Try to hear God's voice call to you lovingly, reminding you that your Creator, has not forgotten his Son. Me and you are appreciated and we are remembered. We will need at least 4 5-minute practice periods today and more if possible. We will try actually to hear God's voice reminding you of him and of yourself. We will approach this happiest and holiest of thoughts with confidence, knowing that in doing so, we are joining our will with the will of God. He wants you to hear His voice. He gave it to you to be heard. Listen in deep silence. Be very still and open your mind. Go past all the raucous shrieks and sick imaginings that cover your real thoughts and obscure your eternal link with God. Sink deep into the peace that waits for you beyond the frantic, riotous thoughts and sights and sounds of this insane world. You do not live here. We are trying to reach your real home. We are trying to reach the place where you are truly welcome. We are trying to reach God. Do not forget to repeat today's idea very frequently. Do so with your eyes open when necessary, but closed when possible. And be sure to sit quietly and repeat the idea for today whenever you can, closing your eyes on the world and realizing that you are inviting God's voice to speak to you. Very powerful lesson. Now, that's the end of lesson 49. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. And before we continue, it says at the end, realizing that you are inviting God's voice to speak to you. Now remember, back to free will, me and you have free will. Whenever we send that invitation, it's a clear sign, green light. God, pull up, and I am willing to hear your voice because I know it's here, and the only reason why I can't hear it right now and I am cluttered in my mind and I am not sure-footed is because I am wandering mindlessly because I am identifying myself with this part of myself that is really not there, the illusion, the ego. So let's do our best today to repeat. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. One more time. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. And now that we know that, let's go ahead and give a little fun analogy to help make this make more sense. This is going to be pretty interesting. So check this out. You see this little device right here, right? This is a radio. Now, this is going to make so much sense. I literally went to go grab one of these because I knew that it would work perfect for what we're about to talk about and discuss right now. So before I turn that on and we play some tunes, we are going to discuss the fact that God is here right now with you, with me, with everybody. Heaven is happening right now, whatever that may look like for you, and what heaven is in the now. It can't not be any other place than now. It is where you are at your best, in your purest state of mind, fully tuned in, tapped in, turned on, connected to pure positive source energy, to God, to your best version of yourself, and you are clear-minded. There is no fear. The fear has just been obliterated and seen for what it really is, which is nothing. That is a state of mind that is possible 24/7, all day, every day, and that is what me and you are working towards accomplishing. God is here with me and you now, regardless of if me and you look separate and I'm over here in this room and you're over there in that room. God is here with us now. Now check this out. Our physical senses, like we've discussed previously, our eyes only interpret such a small portion of the spectrum of light, tiny little portion. We can't see all the frequencies there is except for this little variation. Same thing with our ears. Our ears can only interpret a small portion of what's really out there. Anything higher than a certain range or lower than a certain range cannot be interpreted by our ears. But for example, there we could use a dog, and we've used this example before. A dog, their ears are different interpreters than ours, so they can pick up different frequencies that me and you cannot, because our ears in this body just do not do that. So whenever we blow the dog whistle, although me and you can't hear nothing, the dog hears something that me and you can't interpret. Now that doesn't mean that that frequency that's being played right now when you're blowing the dog whistle is not there. It is very, very much so there. And that's why the dog reacts in whatever way it reacts and follows the sound and hears it. But me and you can't hear that. But it doesn't mean it's not there. And I'm being very repetitive right now because it's going to help everything click. Now, God is here with us right here and right now. Whenever we are in this state of mind, this enlightenment state of mind, we can definitely hear the voice for God. We know He's here. We trust that He's here. And we know it's a knowingness because you are an extension of what God is. You cannot be separate. Only in illusions, only in your mind can you believe that you are separated from me, from everyone in this world, and from your creator, from your father, whatever you want to call God, pure positive source energy, whatever works out with you. But that is here right now with us. But because our eyes in this world can't see that, we think it's not so. Because we can't hear God with our physical ears, people think God's not here. Because we can't feel God, we think He's not here. Because we can't smell God or taste God, we think that God is not here. Again, pure positive source energy, the greatest, the highest, whatever you want to call it. We think that that is not present with us because this body is so limited in the sense that we can't interpret that. So I'm going to bring out this now, and we're going to understand that I'm going to say 100.9, okay? Frequency 100.9 is here with us right now. 97.3 is here with us right now. What other channels is there? 94.7 FM radio is here with us right now. Now, we don't hear nothing, but we have a device right here that can interpret those frequencies and make it capable for us to hear. So let's go ahead and check this out, okay? Now, I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to go ahead and scan through different channels, and I want you to stay very present with me. I'm not going to be doing too much talking for this little section of the analogy, but I want you just to observe. Don't mindlessly wander. Don't get bored. Just observe, because we're going to talk about what we observed afterwards. So we have to really stay focused on what's going to happen right now, okay? Now let's check this out.
All these offers are for 24 months, 10,000 miles per year, plus tax tag title, first month's payment, and applicable accessories. With approved credit only. $9.99 dealer.
Now, one thing I want to say right now that I'm observing is that regardless of where we're tuned into, there's somebody right now on this station. Let's continue, and I'm going to explain why that's important. And one more thing I observed, do you see how there's static in between the frequencies? If you really want to tune into one, you have to very finely tune into it. See that? You could kind of hear it, but if you tune in clearly, you get the clear frequency with no feedback, with no interference. Now, that's good for now, okay? Let's go ahead and talk about what we just observed together and why this is so powerful. Do you see how every single one of those stations are available to us right now? Now, you probably don't have one of these right now, so we're going to put that away. I'm going to pretend I don't have one either now. How are we supposed to know that that's in our vicinity right now, that that frequency is available to us right now in this space? It appears that we're living in space, right? But me and you are really living amongst a lot of different frequencies and energy, and this is very high level stuff. So depending on where we're at and understanding it, it may seem very up here or very far-fetched, but let's just continue and it's gonna all make sense soon. The whole point for me bringing that out was to display that there's stuff happening right now beneath our senses that we can't interpret. Like that channel that was just playing that Christmas music, it's still playing right now. We just can't hear it. But if I turn this back on, do you see? It's always there. We're tuned in, we're tapped in, we're turned on, we're on the station, and then something in the world grabs our attention, and we switch to a different channel. Grab our attention, we switch to a different channel. This is what cluttered mind sounds like. Very staticky, confusion. Different channel. You see? Now, the Christmas music is always there. God is always there for us to tune into, always. But because me and you have this untrained mind and we are always wandering mindlessly because we don't know how to control our attention and focus just quite yet, we are pulled by things of this world, by physical things that we see that we are attached to in some type of way. Money's a big one, or relationships, or there's people that push our buttons. There's something in this world that is always grabbing our attention and pulling us back into a deep sleep, and it changes the channel that we're tuned into. Now, one more observation that I want to say that I made was, did you notice how none of these channels are inherently bad or good? They are just there. They are all just different frequencies. And also, the statement that I made a while ago, there's someone listening to each one of those channels right now, and they're exactly where they need to be. Somebody may be pulled to this channel because that's within their vibrational vicinity. Someone's tuned into this channel because that's where they're at vibrationally. And let me go ahead and explain that analogy so it makes more sense to what we're discussing today. Me and you are on this frequency in terms of truth, which is all the way up here, and it's not stagnant, by the way. Truth is evolving 24/7. So there is no limit to what me and you could attain. Right now, in this very instant, the conversation that we're having has never been before. Me and you are literally on the leading edge, meaning that me and you right now in this instant have thoughts that have never been thought before. And because of that, we have added unto this grand universe that me and you are one with and a part of. We have expanded the universe because of our thought here today. We are always doing so. We are always, always, always connected with God and can be receptive to God and His voice and be clear-minded and outrageously joyous 24/7, which is what we are working towards maintaining forevermore. But let's continue. This frequency is all the way up here, which means that because me and you are here today, we are doing something very, very high level, and it's not right or wrong, bad or good. It just is. There's nothing right or wrong with what we're doing. This is just where we're at vibrationally. Now, there's other people who are all the way down here who may be in states of anger 24/7, of depression. They think life's horrible, and I'm pretty sure that we've been there before. This is where they're at. That's very dramatically different, a very dramatic difference than where we're at right now. So if we were to try to discuss this information to someone on this wavelength, they wouldn't be able to hear because their interpreter, which is their mind, is tuned into the frequencies on this range. So if they're depressed, the best they're going to hear is anger. They're not going to be able to hear outrageous joy from down here because they are nowhere close to that frequency, which is why I don't, and you shouldn't either force this on people, because they will come. The fact that me and you are here, we probably don't know each other. We are meant to be having this conversation right now because we are on the same vibrational wavelength and frequency to discuss this type of information, and one of us wouldn't be here if we were not able to interpret or be on this frequency. So I really hope that I'm explaining this in a way that is making sense. I hope I am, because again, the words that I have may be very limited to the ideas that are in my mind, and not only ideas, but this is truth. So trying to discuss truth and interpret and translate this intention with the words that are available to me right now may be a little limited, but I'm doing my best to make sure that this makes sense for the both of us. Another thing that I want to say is I've watched one of my videos, one of my lessons. I watched one of them and I wasn't in this state of mind, and I could not tune into what I was saying. I was just not feeling it. I just stopped and I just turned it off because I was kind of asleep in that moment. I was annoyed, irritated, bored, whatever I may have been down here. And because in the video at the time I was discussing something all the way up here, it just was not clicking. And in that moment I knew, let me just turn this off, and I have to find the next best step from where I'm at and keep working my way up until I can return to my truth, to who I really am. So there's always going to be someone, for someone who's all the way down here, there's going to be someone right above their level where they could hear and tune up into, and then someone right above that to tune into until they reach where we're at, and then we can pull them up. But it's going to be a very hard thing for us to do, to try to get someone who's all the way down there to understand what's all the way up here, which is why we shouldn't do that, because we're just going to annoy that person and we're going to waste our time. But the best thing you could do is just lead by the clarity of your example, and just know that God's voice speaks to me and you all through the day. And this, one more time, was a great way of understanding that this little device right here is picking up frequencies that appear not here. They appear like they're nowhere here right now. No one would ever think about 100.9 FM. But with this, we can tune into that. And now we can hear. Same thing. This is always on. God is always here. And if we can't tune in, not that we can't, but if we're unable to reach that level at the time, that's a very clear indication of which teacher we're following. We are following the ego. We are following the world, fear, and we believe that we're asleep in that moment. So right there, I believe will be a good place to cut today's lesson. This is a powerful lesson, and I really hope that me and you grew as a result of this conversation. I know we did, because this conversation has never been had before ever in the entire universe. So the fact that me and you are awake and aware that we're on the leading edge and we just added unto the entirety of all that is, me and you play a bigger part in this world than we may believe. Remember, we are not alone in the effects of our seeing. So although someone may never come across this video, me and you watching it together have just evolved the world, and that's something major. So for now, let's go ahead and absorb all this information for today. Repeat today's idea. God's voice speaks to me all through the day, and may we never be the same. I will catch you for tomorrow, lesson 50.